to do something that we've not done in Star Citizen before. You're going to be forcibly boarding another ship.
You know, with the ships, it's always an advancement, right? So the Anvil Legionnaire is our new ship. It's a boarding ship. It's for a 2-man crew and then 8 people in the back. And basically, it's essentially for a hostile takeover. I think this is a very sort of iconic looking ship. We did some really cool stuff in like the experimental phase. We had like sort of crazy arms and things that could basically sort of latch onto ships. But I mean, ultimately, because you've got to take into account all the other ships that are in the universe that can be boarded, you kind of have to come up with a really sort of simple universal system, which is kind of why on this Legionnaire it is such a simple mechanic, essentially.
The Legionnaire fills a gap in our lineup for both more lawful and less lawful careers where you need to take charge of another person's ship. Traditional flow for ship-to-ship docking is the person who wants to dock to the other ship requests it from the parent ship, and it's on the parent ship's pilot to accept or deny that, whereas the Legionnaire has onboard hacking abilities using the hacking minigame to perhaps forcibly override that acceptance and allowing it to happen instead. For players that are on the lawful side, its prime use is bounty hunting. For those perhaps with more military focus, it is like Anvil's dedicated military boarding ship. And for those on the other side of the spectrum, piracy is its main role. So you are there able to attach and board other ships and take their crew, goods, or ship itself. That's the Anvil Legionnaire. Looking forward to this one because it's a ship that appeals to both sides of the law. It brings with it a new side to an existing gameplay loop or existing gameplay loops. It expands upon them, and it's something that I know a lot of players have been waiting for a long time, is that the ability to board other ships forcibly, because it takes away that safety a lot of players have at the moment where, well, I'm safe on my ship, no one's coming on here without destroying me. So people are really going to have to start thinking twice when these things hit the persistent universe.
Invictus Launch Week is back, starting tomorrow as we welcome the UEE Naval Fleet to the Planet Crusader for this year's event. Now, throughout the festivities, you can test fly military vehicles for free, experience new releases like the Anvil Legionnaire, rediscover old favorites, and tour an in-service Javelin destroyer. But how did it come to be in the fiction of our persistent universe? Let's go now to members of the narrative team to learn more.
I think a lot of people still find Invictus inspiring, and I think people need to know that the Navy's there protecting them. And I think getting to go to these events, getting to tour these large ships, and seeing how strong the UEE is very reassuring to a lot of the citizens and civilians in the UEE.
When Invictus originated, it was way back in 2542, and this was about a year into the First Tavaran War.
Tavaran War was the first time that the humans actually needed to organize a straight-up military.
So you imagine then you have this war kicking off, they need to recruit a bunch of starmen, you have these, farmers, these people from the city who need to get to boot camp and had no way of getting there.
Because ships weren't as widespread or as common among the public at that time.
The ship named the Invictus was tasked with going around to all the systems and gathering up the recruits.
As a way to not only kind of like drum up some support for the war effort, but to also bring them into a basic training.
And that's kind of how this event started. It would be this kind of big week of all the families saying goodbye to the young recruits reporting to war. And it kind of evolved from there.
So over the years, under the Messer regime, some criticized their Invictus events as being a little too political, a little bit too focused on the propaganda. But once the Messer regime fell in 2792, the event returned back to its roots about focusing on the Navy and the support and the really cool ships and equipment that they use in the defense of the Empire.
Invictus in the toy era started to be reshaped into the Invictus we know today, where there was a push to remake the Navy, to make it a noble institution once again. And so I think this more kind of celebratory aspect of recruitment and showing people what the Navy was all about, putting these ships on display, showing that we are united in purpose, as my hat says. Now, there still are detractors to Invictus. There was a great showdown post that we had that showed like people think it's spending too much of the public's money, that it's really just free advertising for the ship manufacturers, putting forth kind of a false front rather than showing the Navy how it really is.
The modern view of Invictus, I think, is still that sort of aspirational. It's meant to be that sort of thing of, it's a celebration of duty in a way.
It has a lot of kind of really fun family-friendly elements to it, including very cool like stunt flying done by the 999 famous Reckless Squadron.
I mean, it's always cool to see gigantic, powerful military ships up close and in person.
I think the way that the UEE is approaching it, as this is, again, a way for people to come together to celebrate those who are putting something on the line.
So in general, it's kind of a staple event of the UEE every year, and something that a lot of people around the Empire look forward to.
So what did we learn about this week? Well, we learned that the Anvil Legionnaire is the first ship dedicated to breaching and boarding other ships, which isn't always the nice thing to do, but sometimes necessary. And that Invictus Launch Week has become a mainstay of the persistent universe over the years, as well as your chance to tour the interior of a Javelin destroyer, if you're into that sort of thing. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckaby. That's the new Manchester office. Maybe we'll go inside next week. We will. See you then.